not to reduce the age of consent from 18 to 16. Very interesting input from my panelists as well. Let's take a look at another similarly interesting, but this one has to do with marriage and divorce. Woman ordered to pay for children's upkeep, and this is something new probably in Kenya. Housewife ordered to pay ex-husband 5,000 shillings every month after she went to live with another man. Now let me read the story so that we understand the context rather. A woman has been ordered to pay 5,000 shillings to her former husband every month as upkeep for their 5 sons. Trouble started when this woman ended her 17-year-old marriage to her husband and went to live with her lover in Butere. She left their 5 children with her ex-husband, who subsequently moved to court seeking orders to compel her to contribute to the upkeep. Now, he told the court their relationship was blossoming until another man broke their marriage. Now, the court has ordered the woman, who is now a wife, a housewife, she used to be a teacher, to pay this man 5,000 shillings every month for the upkeep of their children. Now, in this society, in this day and age, I don't think there's any man who... There are very few men who actually sit back and just expect to get money from their wives. Yeah. And when you... Even what we've come to learn growing up is that once you divorce with your wife, probably you as a man is the one who's going to be ordered to pay her. Yeah. But now we are seeing that things turning. Of course, even in raising children, the current law is 50-50. This is probably something that we as a society are yet to internalize. Let's start with you.
No, I think maybe from the cultural perspective, but this is provided for in the law. And when it comes to the Bill of Rights, every child has the rights to enjoy that upkeep or the benefit from both parents. In this case, the 50-50 is only the African culture whereby a man, you are supposed to take all the responsibilities. But as far as the law, the way it is now, it's provided for. And as a matter of fact, even I think in the Marriage Act, when you divorce, you can also get an upkeep from your wife. So the law is there, it's very clear, it's been provided for, but it's total paradigm shift from what has been happening in the African societies. So the way the law is, it is purely in order, it is correct, and you want to tell the men outside there who have been suffering, right now, please, your wife also has the right to take good care of you. So this is the time we need to do civic education. I don't know what happened to the chairman of Maendeleo ya Wanaume, because we've been seeing these cases, seeing that women are vulnerable. We have men who are very vulnerable, and they are suffering in silence. So this is the time they should wake up and know their rights. Yeah, Governor, this is a rude awakening for women. Sure, because they've been staying and knowing, okay, fine, I don't need to take care of this man, I can do whatever I want.
No, I want to agree with the Honorable Chris that I think that's a strong message that things are now being done differently. Because there are also very many men, like you said, who are suffering in silence. A wife would be beating a man, she's screaming loudest, and when people come, you know, they tend to sympathize with the woman, not knowing that actually it's the man who was being beaten. So I think this is a strong signal. If the children have been left with the man and the lady is able, I think they should also know that they can also be, like the law says, they can also be subjected to taking care of the husband. I mean, okay, customarily, you know, you may at some point say, okay, no, maybe decide that you don't want, because it's also maybe demeaning in society, you know, given the cultural perspective. But actually, it's a strong message that there's a shift in the way things are being done.
Yes, culturally, of course, there's an issue, and of course, from many workplaces, I remember I worked at a place where quite a number of women came to complain about members of staff there who are failed to take care of their responsibilities. But now we're seeing that even the men could be doing that as well, or should be doing that.
I have not read that story. What I don't know is whether this woman was represented by a lawyer in court. And if she was, that lawyer must be a completely bogus lawyer. The Constitution provides that the only time you suspend culture is when the cultural norm is obnoxious. The cultural norm in Butere, and I represent the husband of that woman, is that our society is patrilineal. Meaning, unlike Central Province, where the children rely on the mother during marriage and after, in Butere, the children rely on the father during marriage and after. So a good lawyer should have fallen back to that cultural provision to win the case, so that this man should stop gallivanting around in Butere markets when the wife is working hard elsewhere. This man in Butere, and I advise him to look for a wife and leave that lady alone. She's gone, and gone completely. In fact, he is an embarrassment to us, that man. and that judge should allow for appeal. In fact, I'm going to appeal on behalf of that,
because
of that woman.
The culture in Western Kenya is that the children belong to the man.
Yes.
So even when there's in cases of divorce or separation, the man will actually demand for the children and go away with them.
Exactly.
So,
But some cultural practices are becoming repugnant, and outdated, really. As much as that, but there are also cases where you find that the woman is actually heading the family in terms of economic empowerment and taking of the family. So culturally, yeah, you say yeah, they belong to the man, but if you are not providing for, then what are you doing? So some of those things must be reviewed. And you know where we come from in Khalwale and Chris, you know, people take long to change. But I think it's a time that we must now look at.
But we need to listen to Senator Matangi's perspective on this, because the issue could be different in central Kenya.
First, Fred, you know, the first book that I learned to read when I grew up told a story about a man called Adam and a woman called Eve. And on the day they were being expelled from a place they lived in called paradise by the maker and owner of that place, the man was given marching orders and given a very clear mandate. He was told, you shall eat by the sweat of your brow. Yes. That was the instruction. Yes. And the woman was given a further instruction. She was told, you will follow this fool, and he shall feed you, and he will clothe you, and do all that he's supposed to do. Those were the instructions, and that's the first book I learned to read. I still hold on to that, and I'll tell you, you know, if that ever came to me and many men I know, the man in me would refuse. The African in me would refuse, because you know, and as we embrace, as I said earlier, these laws, and there must be a place, as Senator Halole has said, where you know our cultures get to ascend to you know over some of those provisions in laws, because I don't think, and especially in my area where I come from, in Central Province, that we have many men who will want to sit there and wait for their wife to come and bring food on the table in the evening and feed the children. I mean, that is not our making, it is not our culture, it's not how we are brought up, and so it is very difficult. Actually, even if it was enforced by law, for somebody to say that, Wamatangi, you go and sit at home, we have now passed a judgment that your wife will be coming and bringing food on the table, she will find that I have eaten by the time she arrives.
I just wanted to clarify. Imagine that you have the customary law, but in this case the Constitution takes precedence, and is outlined in Article 5.3 of the Constitution, which I thought I should read it, that every child has a right to parental care and protection, which includes equal responsibility of the mother and the father to provide for the child, whether they are married to each other or not. The Constitution is clear. It's talking about equal responsibility, whether you are married or not married. You know, so it is important for Kenyans to know, much that we have the customary law, but we have this issue of the Constitution which takes precedence. So we have the equal rights.
Yes.
Yeah. So those mothers who have been hiding,
what we go with between culture and the Constitution.
The Constitution takes precedence.
Yes. The Constitution takes precedence.
Yeah.
Yes. So that would supersede your cultural norms in that part of the country.
It's provided for in law.
It is practical. Someone has just been awarded 5,000 shillings monthly.
That's what you were saying. In law, it is applicable. It is provided for. It can be done. Those who want to have it done will have it and enjoy it. But you can be sure that in this world, in our cultures, it will be a very, very small percentage.
And the governor here agrees that probably some of those cultural beliefs should be done away with.
Yeah, some of them are repugnant.
Yes.
They've been overtaken by events, been overtaken by time, and we must live with what culture is dynamic. Yes. Yeah, we cannot just get stuck in the past and do things that are repugnant.
And Governor, as you say that, you realize that Senator Halwale's face changed.
He's my younger brother, and we share with him the same culture. you know, members of the executive, the moment they finish election, they forget that there's an election coming. For my brother to call our culture repugnant, it will have serious consequences at the election.
No. I'm saying- The
culture that is calling repugnant is the culture that provides that our society is patrilineal. Is he telling me that Governor Lusaka, you can leave your home and go to the home of your father-in-law to live there?
No. What I said some of those are repugnant things, and culture is dynamic. We cannot get stuck in the past.
Yes.
There are also things that were done over 50 years ago that we cannot continue doing.
Wife inheritance.
Wife inheritance. You're just inheriting your wife, and you know very well what killed the husband. I mean, you will do that, but at your own risk. But we are saying that this is dynamic. Of course, my brother Khalwale here is trying to scare me.
There you go. Before you go into politics, yes, I must defend my community. Yes. Even if Governor Lusaka is against me on this one.
And you know, you realize you are alone here, because even when Chris Omalo, who comes from the same region,
I'm alone. Because
you know,
I must defend, even
grew up in town.
Even if I'm alone, I'm a village guy. Even if I'm alone, the culture of wife inheritance is noble. It is thanks to that culture that you don't get street children in Bungoma and Kakamega, because when the father dies, the family structure is such that the brothers of the father will bring the boy, bring the children, and bring their mother to move into the house.
But it has also been modified.
And the inheritance that we are practicing has been modified.
Yes.
If you know that your father, your brother has died of HIV, you still inherit his wife to take care of the wife economically, but not meet her sexual needs.
That's the modification that I was talking about.
But you can't stop wife inheritance.
No,
it's a good thing.
It's a good thing. Inheritance was where you go before even the
these are some of the very interesting headlines
in somebody's house and the night you are there saying don't cry because I'm here.
Yes, Senator Matangi, as we wrap up this one, let's move to the politics now.
You know, the truth is, culture must find its place in our laws and in our lives. We cannot abandon our cultures. We can't. We will be, I mean, the Swahilis, some that have very well, Mkosa Milani, Mtumwa, you know, and we cannot be Watumwa, you know, all those, and you know, the worst bit is we have always sacrificed our cultures to replace them with other cultures that we don't know, because you don't replace a culture with nothing. You replace it with another culture, an imported one, you know, to fit in place of the one that you have been. Why I would agree with what my two colleagues here are saying. Modify the culture, then where you find that you need to modify it to fit to the circumstance and the change in time. That's okay, but we cannot be fellows who just wear those things that are worn up to here and showing
because now on this one you look like you're the only one who's
the issue of culture. The issue of culture is actually even provided for in the Constitution. Actually, when you look at the laws, culture provides a basis for the law. But as times change, you know, there is that modification. Amendments are there. Of course, we respect the culture. We're not saying we don't respect the culture. But what I was putting across is the Constitution takes precedence, because it cuts across all cultural dynamics, religious dynamics. So the Constitution is the main law that we have to follow.
Okay. Yep. Of course, the headline is on page 3 of the Standard. A woman to pay for children's upkeep. Housewife ordered to pay ex-husband 5,000 shillings every month after she went to live with another man. That's a story you should read for yourselves. Let's now move to the politics, because now Senator Khalwale introduced it in terms of trying to scare away the governor. But you should yes, you still have an opportunity to defend yourself. Yes. Even as we move on. Let's talk about NASA. And yesterday, the opposition chiefs signed what they're calling a letter of intent to actually indicate the intention to form this coalition under the umbrella of NASA. And right now, the previous day, they had already set up 2 different teams, one to pick the flag bearer, the other one to actually work on the modalities of how this formation is going to work. Now, so many things come into play. these people have come together. Is CORD still in existence? Now we have two members from the CORD coalition, as it were, actually from Ford Kenya. Yes, we have the deputy party leader Ford Kenya, and also MP Chris Omalo is also from that party. And the biggest question that everyone is asking, fine, for the very first time, and I remember that when this talk of NASA started, Ford Kenya was one of the parties that said, hey, we are not aware of that. What is that? Now we are seeing you talking under the umbrella of this same NASA. What does it mean for Ford Kenya, and what does it mean for CORD? Do we still have CORD? Deputy Party Leader.
We are going to be very guarded in as far as what we are going to disclose about that question, because we are a member of a committee and we are bound by confidentiality to make sure that we do not speak on behalf of the committee unless it is at the official time. What Ford Kenya said is exactly what is happening now. When Ford Kenya said there was nothing called NASA, it is true, it was not there. And that's why yesterday you have seen the letter of intent to form a coalition called NASA. I remember we sat at another TV station with Sandro Matangi, and when he said there was no NASA, I kept quiet because he was right. So we have now,
but now there is NASA.
We have now, wait a minute, there is NASA in the pages of the newspapers of the Republic of Kenya and in the TV stations.
So as far as you're concerned, NASA is still not there?
It has to be legal. You cannot go to an election with an entity that is not legally recognizable by the electoral laws.
That you've just answered the question.
So I am saying that CORD has not been dissolved. And I am saying that thanks to the discussions that we are going to hold, we are going to make a decision on the configuration, the structure, the format of the new coalition that we are expanding beyond CORD to bring in the players who are outside CORD. We could call it NASA, we could call it Indimuli Alliance.
You have to come for my signature.
I think last time I was here, I told you it was amorphous. There was nothing official. There were no structures. But as we speak right now, you saw the intention, the intent being there. So this is a body that you're having. The coalition partners are there, the parties. I'm seeing even Governor Lusaka is yearning to join NASA.
No.
So the issue is this is a bigger body that is moving, and as time goes by, Senator Halwale actually has mentioned everything. So hold your horses. You're going to get official communication. We are part of this technical team that is going to look into the issues of the structures, the issues of the manifesto, all that. But as time goes by, there will be press release that will be there.
And in a moment we'll come back to discuss those anglings. Those are the divergent opinions where you're mentioning the governor and his intent to do this or the other. But
we have many other people who will be coming in.
Yes, it's on the headlines.
It's open-ended actually.
And we look at that. I think you mentioned one on the front page of the Star.
Kanu is on the way. It's a Kruto.
Senator Matangi, you're laughing at this discussion. What is so funny?
I mean, anyway, I mean, Kenyans have been treated to a long extended theatrical show on this formation of the so-called NASA. And I'll tell you this and say this to Kenyans, and I speak about this with a straight face because truth must be told all the time. And these gentlemen and the rest of the team have a right to associate, to form in a group, political as they wish. But they also need to open up and tell Kenyans what they're doing. You know, all the time they have used all manner of terminology. Now they have switched to intent to form a NASA. Before, as Senator Halwale acknowledges, it was not there. The last time we sat with Halwale in another discussion, he said they were cooking. And now he says they are morphing. And in the process of this intent, they have formed a committee of a dozen plus people. You know, to go and cook. You know, and you know, that's what I'm saying. You know, they owe Kenyans at least a part of the truth, and the part of the truth that they will need to tell Kenyans is that they are seriously struggling to to make sense out of no sense. I'll tell you why I use that language. Because the first thing, you must have good intent to move forward and have something that you can form to show the people. The problems that they have been having is that the players in this team are not players who have anywhere in the interest of this country on the agenda. The divisions that have been there and the intent to be intended now is this, that how are we going to modulate and make sure that we accommodate the interest of this person and this person, because this person wants to be a deputy prime minister, this one wants to be the prime minister, this one wants to be the president and a first vice president and another one, and all these fellows must fit their egos into this tight thing called NASA, and that is why you find that it will require a dozen plus committee to shelve out the cubicles that will contain all this intent for these guys to hold their offices. Because I'll tell you, if the intention of NASA and the people that play in it was to make this country a better place for Kenyans, that agenda has been propagated since the day we got independence. All the matters and issues that this country needs to achieve tomorrow have been as plain as day for us since we were born. So there is no new discoveries or research that requires to be done. For people who want to say that we want to come to government to change and bring a better education system, we want to make sure that we create more jobs, we want to ensure that there is a better income and a better economy, those things have been talked of by any government that have been here. Now, my question is this. If this has been the agenda that these guys have been propagating, why do they need, and remember, between all these gentlemen, who does not have behind him more than 10 years or plus of experience in playing in government and working in government and being there? So they're all conversant with all these issues. They would be able to sit together in a 30-minute meeting and say, we have formed this group called NASA. We are intent on going to the election
without the need of a 12-member team.
I mean,
before we come back to
we have to say clearly to the people of this country that whatever name they come with, whatever formula or people they come up with, our people in this country must know that this is a smoke screen given this name, with people hiding behind it, because at the end of the day what they want to negotiate is what they will get individually at the end of the day.
Senator, let's allow the governor to say something about this issue.
I think first and foremost I want to disagree with Chris because it's been one of those who has been spreading propaganda that I'm changing my position. I think I made up my mind that I'm in Jubilee and I know why I'm in Jubilee. And what NASA, the thing they want to NASA people are just trying to do is to do what Jubilee did long time ago. Come together, let's have a strong party or coalition as they want to call it. Because I've said this, that I would be very happy one day when this country has 2 or 3 strong parties that are based on ideology. But like Omatangi is saying, when you look at these committees or cooks who are now cooking the NASA thing, coming out, they are just trying to accommodate each other's egos. You say, where do you fit? How do we accommodate you? People are even being promised non-existent positions, hoping that when we go to elections and they win, then somebody becomes a deputy prime minister, somebody becomes a what? You see, they are accommodating egos. So it's personal egos that are at play here. But we are saying we want to get a strong party. What do you stand for example, in NASA or code or whatever? What is your ideology? Because I remember when Ford came up, those years, Chris was still a student. I think my older brother here can bear witness. That was clear that there was KANU which was there, which people wanted to remove from power because it had been there for long, and Ford came up as an alternative government. And we had like minds like Raila Odinga, Oginga Odinga, Barmahis, Masinde Muliro. You could see their thinking. But look at the NASA as it sits now. Some things cannot be mentioned because when you look on your left, somebody thinks you're talking about him, because this is just people who have come together, but they don't believe even some of the things that they're talking about, because they've been involved in scandals, they've been involved in some of the issues that this country is now grappling with. So I think let's be honest that they are just trying to do what Jubilee has already done. And I'm not going, and I want to, I think Christmas have been one of those who sneaked into my my account and spread rumors
Which account?
that I'm about to jump ship when I was
That rumor was on one of your social media accounts?
It was on the social media accounts, and it was done by, I think, one of these fellows who
Someone
from the way he's acting, I have to say that when you
clarify that
I'm in Jubilee. I know why I went there, and we are convincing people, because I'll maybe talk about it if you give me an opportunity. Why I think that Jubilee was the right choice, and my brother is I will be able to talk about
and we'll
it.
get to that. Yes, Chris Omalo is itching to
this is
respond
an
to
idea. A good idea can give birth to a better idea. And when you talk of NASA, I want to disagree with what Governor Lusaka is saying, because we've not even done any structures. That's why this committee is in place. And NASA is coming to rescue this country from the bondage of corruption, the bondage of nepotism, the bondage of tribalism. The country right now, look at the doctor strike. It's a mess all over. Corruption in Jubilee government is, the brand name Jubilee is branded with corruption. If you ask any small child, if you are asked about Jubilee, what is Jubilee known for? Small children, they'll tell you corruption. So NASA is coming to rescue this country. It's coming to call Kenyans, from the bondage of poverty, the bondage of corruption, the bondage of tribalism. Corruption is all over. Even right now, governor is here with the bondage of wheelbarrow. It's on his case, and he knows about it. And you were telling Wabugala, you went for the small fish instead of going for the big fish. But the big fish is here.
Let me make this clear.
The issue is this.
No.
I'll give you an opportunity, Governor, in just a moment.
Good governance for this country. It is bringing hope. I'm hoping the doctors are listening. I'm hoping the teachers are listening. When you look at this country, I was shocked when I went to Pan Paper. The president had come to reopen Pan Paper. Pan Paper was closed immediately. He left. So the issue of the seat,
it is within your council.
Absolutely. And it's not working. The smoke is not there. So the Jubilee government, what it is doing to the Kenyans.
I cannot
when it comes to 2017, we want the Kenyans to know that the hope is there, and the hope is in the NASA. No. Alliance that is there, that is bringing hope to the people.
Let's give the governor, because
I think
direct allegations.
Chris is misleading the whole country.
Yes.
One, when you are talking about, say, corruption, they went, of course, to Bungoma to say they went for the small fish. And I want to give an example of his party leader, who was the Minister for Foreign Affairs.
Are you responding directly to the wheelbarrow and Pan Paper?
Yeah. When he talks of his party leader was the Minister for Foreign Affairs when the Tokyo scandal came up. And that time, when he was told to step aside, the people who are left on the hook, because he said he doesn't sign anything, was a colleague of mine, PS Twitter Mwangi, Ambassador Anthony Washiri. No, but was he taken to court? Those who are taken to court are the people. Yes, a minute.
No.
Yes, but investigations have also been done in the wheelbarrow scandal, and I was the whistleblower. I'm the one who ordered an audit of how the ministers were operating. I'm the one who invited ESCC. They have done their investigations, and the people who have been found culpable have been taken to court. So when you come there and say you should have gone for Lusaka, why didn't they go for Wetangula during the Tokyo scandal? Because he was a minister in charge of foreign affairs, and that thing happened. But that aside, he's saying the president went to Pan Paper and he cheated people. I can show you papers that are being produced in Pan Paper. These are fellows who are saying Pan Paper is not working because there's no smoke. There's no smell. Let me tell you, let me know. Wait, hold your horses. You know, Chris, Honorable, you have a PhD, and I think it should assist you to think better than what you are doing now. We went to Pan Paper, and what we said, the first line of production, it has 6 lines of production. The first line of production that was opened was for recycled paper. As we speak now, we have 72 tons of paper awaiting to be
that were produced after it was reopened.
Yes, that were produced after reopening. I think it's not fair for somebody to come. You have not even gone there. You are looking at Pan Paper from the outside and imagine that it has not been opened. Nobody said they were going to open the whole of Pan Paper at a go, because it's not practical.
Okay.
It was most of
Question. Have you been to Pan Paper since it was reopened? Have you gone into the factory?
Let me respond to that. I went to French School Kamsinga, and if the factory is working, common sense, when you go somewhere they are cooking ugali, obviously there must be some fire, you know. And that time when the president came, there was some fire, there was some smoke actually, and that was an indicator to show activities were going on, the noise and all that. The workers who used to be there, they are saying we are still at home. We've not been recalled. Work is not going on. You cannot see the smoke. That pungent smell which used to be there, that was to show that you've reached Pan
That
Paper.
was even a sign of inefficiency. It was a sign of inefficiency. The pungent smoke,
it is no
member
longer
cannot
there.
allow
It is
that.
no longer
comes
there.
from the
You look at the gate,
Yes.
nothing is going on.
No,
So what technology is this?
I challenge Chris
that has
Wamana
come?
from here.
Gentlemen.
I am ready to give you a free air ticket. We go to Pan Paper.
Not even by road.
Not even by road. I'm prepared to give you a free air ticket. Let's go to Pan Paper.
There's no airstrip in
We have,
Webuye.
you can
So
see
how would you land there?
there's an airstrip in Webuye. The president even landed
no
there.
airstrip in Webuye.
It's a sign that Chris has not been going home.
No, I was there over the weekend. I was there over the weekend. I asked the workers, maybe Honorable Fred.
Let's hear what Senator Halwale has to say because he comes from the same area. Have you seen some smoke?
I am happy that this discussion is taking place in the presence of the governor of Bungoma. This is very serious talk. I am saddened that a leader of his caliber presided over a function which was labeled the reopening of Pan Paper, when actually the function that was taking place was that the president and the owners of RAI were coming to take over Pan Paper. They did not come to reopen. They came to take over. They have taken over Pan Paper. It is now called RAI, and thanks to that takeover, they paid 900 million for a property which is worth 18 billion shillings. The governor of Bungoma has presided over an economic crime against the people of our community, because Pan Paper is built on land which did not drop from India. Pan Paper owns part of the forests in Lugari. Pan Paper has got property here in Nairobi, and the governor knows, the residents, that runs beyond 2.5 billion shillings. That they allowed RAI and the president to walk away with that kind of asset for 900 million. It is an economic crime which one day, as we say in Kiluya, Mulirevo Marevo,
Someone please translate.
Yeah, let me translate.
Just what he said. The governor, I'll give you time to respond to that. So while you collect your thoughts.
Mulirevo Marevo means that people will be accountable. So he's saying Lusaka will be accountable for the economic crime to Pan Paper.
Let's bring Senator Wamatangi in.
And he's a resident of Pan Paper. And he's a beneficiary. I think you still live in Pan Paper guest house. He's a beneficiary.
Beneficiary in terms of...
It's good discussion, and for a few minutes there we have transferred the studio to Bungoma.
We're back.
So it's good to come back. And
Pan Paper is a national asset.
I think we are now heading to a general election, and what you will see and what Kenyans will see. I want to say to Kenyans this morning with a very straight face, because it is the Kenyan people we must protect. We have been elected as leaders for this session ending 2017, but the mark we make and where we direct this country will have a bearing overall for a long, long time. And I want our people to realize this one thing, and I know most of them know, that this general election is going to be determined on a completely different platform from other general elections. The first thing that we need to emphasize as Kenyans is that the basis of competition in this election must be one on truth and what is not true, and on lies, and on the differentiation on who represents the truth and who represents lies, who is an agent of propaganda and who is a representative of reality. Now, once Kenyans are able to make that distinction, this country can move forward. You know, it is sometimes almost hurting when you see a leader elected and elevated to a platform to the extent of Chris Wamalo and Halwale saying things to this country with a straight face that you know are outrightly not true. To begin with, look at the profiles of these people, and just remember what he has said a few minutes ago, that they are coming to occur this country, to occur this country.
Rescue.
Okay, and you know who are these new parachuters, who are these new SEALs who have come to rescue this country? The first of them is Wetangula, Moses Wetangula, somebody who has served in government for more than 10 years now going to. The second in command of this new rescue team is Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, somebody who has been in this playing arena for more than almost 30 years. The field marshal of the rescue team is Raila Amolo Odinga, somebody who has been there playing in this arena and in rescue missions in the same arena for all those years. And in his Okoa theory, and I would only forgive him if he doesn't know what the meaning of Okoa is in English.
It's the rescue.
Okoa
is the rescue.
If you have fellows who have themselves been the greatest contributors in muddying the pool, in stirring up ourselves into the quagmire that we have been in and trying to move from, and you are now branding them after staying out of politics for only 4 years. Only 4 years, they have gone out there and taken a bath and been blown by the wind of being out of power. Now they have become the rescuers. These are the lies that we must say to Kenyans.
And my director,
they have,
just a moment.
Kenyans must make
even as
the
Senator
distinction.
Matangi continues with his speech, let's take a look at the cartoon on page 14 of the Daily Nation.
Is this rescue in Kenya?
It's about NASA State House Express. It's a space shuttle that's about to take off, but there's a very huge stone that could hold it down and actually it's already on the screen.
A cartoon is somebody's freedom of expression. So whoever that is, maybe it's Wamatangi. You don't know.
And
everybody's entitled
from this cartoon. It's good at least the director has played it on the screen. If this is the rescue vessel, that people are going to be in to rescue, it will be very, very, very unfair. My friend,
in all my political life,
what you would have done, what you would have done is, I was speaking, and you have your chance.
He has given me.
You mentioned his name. It's only fair that he responds to that.
In my entire political life, I have fought corruption. And I want to tell you, the issue of pan paper, it came out at our big rally in Webuye. And I sat there, I could not believe my ears. As Governor Lusaka was being bashed for the wheelbarrows, the former Prime Minister was bashing Governor Lusaka on the same podium where standing next to him was Oparanya, who is responsible for greater corruption in Kakamega than the wheelbarrows. If we must maintain the confidence of Kenyans, and I respect all my core principles, as we abash Jubilee-related governors like this for corruption, we must also remember that the court governors are also corrupt.
Now you are speaking.
That was an opportunity for the Prime Minister, when he was bashing Lusaka on wheelbarrows, to also turn back to Oparanya, who was standing next to him, and tell him, my deputy party leader, you also must step aside for Kakamega to be investigated on the allegations of the collapse of Buhongo Stadium, the disappearance of computers in the procurement office. Unless and we do that, we lose our shine as agents of fighting corruption in this country.
Yes, and it should be noted that